player and jazz educator, the goal note method. So every measure, in this case, or almost every measure, every time there's a new chord change, you have a new goal note that you're playing. So in the beginning, I'm playing that minor 7, or let's start on the 3 on that first chord. And I'm aiming for when those thirds and sevenths change. And what that does is it gets that harmonic roadmap in their head. If they can memorize this, it gets them off of the page. And then a lot of the notes, once you add the diatonic chord, they've got all the safe notes, and then they can start experimenting once they feel comfortable with those safe notes. So that's the use of the thirds and the sevenths, the blues. Got it on some rhythm changes too.
Did you tend to do that before using the chord tones biggest page? Or?
No, I would start with the chord tones actually, but just because of the kind of the dissonant sounds of, especially if you're using a blues. I don't necessarily like to always start with the blues because to me I just have way too much respect for the blues. I'm 35 and I've been playing trumpet for 30 years and I still feel like, man, I wish I could play the blues better. Wish I had more experience put into those blues. But if you're going to use that tool, I think starting with the vertical stack is a little bit easier because you don't have those dissonances of the chord tones, the tritones of that blues. And to me, that doesn't sound as much like you being limited to those notes. And it forces the creativity of the rhythm first, I think a little easier with the stack. But again, that's up to personal preference. You can do everything completely backwards. If your students aren't getting that, and you try the other one, and they're getting it a lot quicker, then start with the thirds and sevenths and work up to the chord. Usually limiting exercises, I call these limiting exercises with my students. I start with the least amount of variables and go, start adding variables. This is one case where I actually usually do it different. Yes?
So do the kids only use those two? Like you were using more than just those?
They use those notes. First they play them through so they can hear the movement of the thirds and sevenths, which define, other than the bass, which is hopefully being taken care of, define that chord, the quality of the chords. And then they can start building motives off and around them. So I was using some upper and lower neighbor tones. But the important thing is you try to get them to come back to the note. So it's kind of a springboard. So for instance, if you take that first note on the blues, we'll start on the 7. The springboard at home bass is that minor 7, that concert A flat. So, and then you move it down when it changes. You can go. So they're actually making those changes. And this, again, I've had students, really basic students, play basic things like I was playing, and advanced students take this and run with it, and it doesn't even sound like they're using just thirds and sevenths because they're going. And playing more bebop ideas, and actually linear ideas, and able to connect those. But usually they've started with basic motives. I like to think that a good jazz line, some of my favorite players, like Wayne Shorter and Tom Harrell, they play very linearly, but if you string a bunch of motives together, a quick progression, that can be a line too. So a linear idea with motives in it, so it's not just what we sometimes refer to as chromatic BS in the jazz world. Noodling. Professional noodlers. Anyway, you can do the same thing with rhythm changes. So I've given you the first A section of a pretty typical rhythm changes progression with the diminished chord, the 2 or the 3, and then the bridge of rhythm changes. Bridge of rhythm changes is one that can confound a lot of students because suddenly you've gone from all this harmonic motion that really is mostly functional for the most part to a different kind of functionality, but all dominant chords. And again, if it's B flat, and I potentially put this in B flat, D7. I never played. For a trumpet player, E7. I remember learning rhythm changes. What's in an E7? Wow, I've never played an E in my life. This is even an easier version of E major. But anyway, so following those paths, so here's the bridge of the rhythm changes. Getting them to play motives, and again, if you have one of these, you can loop that bridge and just have it play over and over and over again. Or loop the first 2 chords and have them work on that progression. Something that somebody was saying, man, something Freddie Hubbard, who was great jazz trumpet player, what he used to work on is he would sit at the piano pedal, and he would play a chord, and he would just practice over that chord. What an innovative technique. And I thought, yeah, why isn't everybody doing that? So what I'll do with my students is take an idea and just go. We go back to the 2. It starts to sound like a chorus line. I really need this job. But you might get really bored of it. But it's really great for those students to practice the concept of making the change from the 2 to the 5. And then you can go 5 to 1. But yeah, like I said, I've personally had a lot of success with that, and they're all easy things that you can put into finale really quickly and hand out. This type of stuff, the 3rds and the 7s and all that, I do like to give the students written sheets so they can see it visually and start making those associations with the chord change. So that's not something necessarily I would do by ear unless I had a student with perfect pitch or a very advanced sense of the harmony already. So, all right, Duke Ellington's In a Mellow Tone, what I think is maybe the perfect vehicle for improvisation. Hope everybody's familiar with it. If not, you're going to get to hear my favorite recording of it, just a snippet, and then we're going to rush through it really quickly. Oh. Exactly what I actually do in every level of improv class I teach. I end up, after all this, we end up with this too. I've got company. Wish we had more time. Check out that recording, it's amazing. The reason I think this is a perfect vehicle is because it leaves space on every phrase. There it is. See you there. While they're going, duh. That's when you have one student go and take some of these concepts of ragging. So the band goes, and they do the response in the rest. And you can do that the whole song. What are they? Through the whole tune. It's always broken up into this. You have a pickup measure into a whole note. It's a simple, beautiful composition. It doesn't have really complex changes, but right off the bat you get 5 of 5, 5, 1, which is a great sound for them to start hearing instead of 2, 5, 1. So I really think it's a perfect vehicle for singing it, for playing with kazoos, for doing it on your instruments. I've been told we have 1 minute left. We'll see what we can get through in that minute. Melodic exercises, these are in the back of your packet. I do a thing called Pass the Melody. So you have, when maybe one student goes, another student goes, and maybe not just with 2 students. You try to pass the melody all the way around the room. What that's doing is making sure they know the melody, and they're having to look visually and keep their place in time and know when to come in. So that's kind of pass the melody. Then you can pass the rag. Next person rags their version of it, and it goes around the room. Play 2, rag 2. On a tune that's maybe not broken up like the Saints, you can play 2 measures of the melody and then try to rag the next 2. Or try to rag the first 2 and then play the melody. So you're really ingraining that melody in and knowing your place in it. Pick a rhythm, any rhythm. We all do that. We write a rhythm up on the board and say, okay, we're going to play the blues, and you have to only play this rhythm. Pick your notes. And you pass that around the room. The quote game, put Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star as many times as you can into this blues, but make it fit the chord changes. We'll go crazy if we do too much of that, but it's a great thing. Free play and experimentation, that one's pretty basic. A couple things to consider. Do we have 30 seconds? Okay. No. No. Okay. That is in, I'm going to leave that up so you can write those things down. Thank you. And I hope you
On behalf of the National Association for Music Education Northwest participation. I'd like to present this certificate to Mr. Kevin Lewis.